Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Gardening TLC. It is Sunday morning, Labor Day weekend, and we are going to do an unedited garden tour through my garden. As we head towards the end of summer, getting ready to go into fall, I want to make sure I get a good look at my garden as it looks right now, because there are still things I need to button up. There are still gardens I need to plant, and there's still plenty of time to do it. We've had a great year gardening. We've had a lot of rain. We've had a lot of bugs. We've also buttoned up some gardens, and I'm really happy that they are done. So I thought I'd take you through and show you what they look like. Now, I'm not going to edit this video, and you're going to see me do this. That will be me pausing the camera as I move around or I change the camera out to a different tripod. Did you know the first 6 months that I did videos when I first started, I didn't edit any of them. I did them on my phone and I uploaded them to YouTube because I had no clue how to edit, how to do a thumbnail. I didn't know anything about that. Well, today we're gonna make a video just like that and take you around the garden, and we're gonna check it out. Labor Day weekend really is that trigger for us to start thinking about fall, even though fall is like really officially like 3 weeks away. Now is when we start to really get out all of our fall decor. We're ready for a change. We want to start decorating. We want to start doing our fall planters. We are ready for a change, or at least I am. So I haven't done any fall decor yet. I just refreshed my pots in the front, which that video came out on Thursday. You can check that out. Everything else is still the same. But I did button up some beds, I did button up some areas, and I thought I'd share that with you today. So let's take a tour. We're gonna start at the driveway bed and make our way around. Hopefully you'll enjoy this video. All right, let's do it. When I do an unedited video, just know I live by a road and there's a lot of motorcycles out today because it's Sunday and it's nice, and they are touring because it's the weekend. There's no trucks today though, so that's a plus. I will try to pause if any really loud motorcycles come by. Hopefully I'll catch them all. We are gonna start right here with the driveway bed and then tour on down the sidewalk bed and then around to the back. What's really cool is I got the true trees placed in the garden and planted that I've been waiting for. A little bit of a surprise because I did pick a different one than you guys were thinking, but I love it, and you'll see it in just a second. All right, so let me flip the camera around and then we'll start out at the end of the driveway and work our way through. Some of my beds are going to be in full sun and some of them are going to be in the shade. You're going to be able to see the details better when they're in the shade, but I'm going to take you through all of them. Now, one of the things that's happened this year because of all the rain is check out my magnolia. This is kind of unfortunate, even though it's kind of like oh, look at the pretty flower buds on there. But guess what? Those are next year's flower buds. And this means that I'm not going to have a spectacular magnolia next year because all of the flowers got pushed out. Not all, but a lot of them are pushing out right now. It started off with like 4 or 5 of them, and now they're everywhere. So unfortunately, even though it looks kind of cool now, a lot of them are swelling and opening, and it will stunt the flowers for next year, which is kind of a bummer. But oh well, that's what Mother Nature does sometimes. Down here we've got some beautiful sedum, and you can see here, yeah, you want to know what happened there? That's not rain. That's not even an animal. That was me running it over with my tire. I got a little too close, and so I'll probably have to just snip those off because there's no repairing them. They are now on the ground and they will stay there. This bed here is gonna get some changes next year. I'm not doing the changes this year because I have other things that I wanna get done, but stay tuned for that. We'll be doing some planning over the winter. I do like the sedum in here. The black-eyed Susans obviously need to be cut back, but they're still putting off a little bit of color. I'll tell you, the main showstopper in this garden are the little lime fruit punch. These guys are absolutely gorgeous. They're really starting to darken in color. And as you can see, this is a repeat bloomer. So I've got some blooms that are white. I've got some blooms that are still like that mauvey green. I've got some that are a little darker, and then I've got some that are really starting to push some fruit punch color. So I love this shrub in here. Now, if you were planting this shrub in full sun, it probably would get bigger than these are in here. These guys are in technically their second year, even though they were planted in the fall. They were so small and scraggly when I put them in, they just kind of sat there for the winter. So I'm pretty happy with these because they only get sun probably until about maybe noon, and the ones up here probably only until about 11 o'clock. So pretty happy with that. All right, as we swing around here, you can see our planter that we did on Thursday is still looking good. And we still have the ones down on the other side. So these were the ones that I refreshed already for fall. So happy with how they turned out, loving them. All right, as we come around the corner, we've got our little Eloise here. I love how she was all season long. She's looking a little scraggly now because the moss rows have really grown out, but we're just gonna finish the season off with this, and then we'll probably take her apart, plant up all of the succulents that are in here, and then do something different with that head going into winter. All right, coming around the corner, our beautiful oak leaf hydrangeas are absolutely stunning. The tips of them are starting to put on a little bit of color. The flowers are long done and they've got this nice brown color on them. Now I could come through and clip these off right here. Typically I just leave them alone and I don't do any pruning on them until next year. Oak leaf hydrangeas are blooming on old wood, so you don't prune them back, you leave them up, and then you can just prune them for shape or prune dead, diseased, or dying branches in the fall. Or the winter, not the fall, in the spring. That's typically what I do with mine. Now I am loving how this is looking and turning out. Now the one thing that happened this year was, the goal was that I was gonna have salmon impatiens in here, and apparently I picked orange and salmon, but I did luck out in that I didn't mix them up. At least all the orange ones are in the Sedona bowls on the ground, and all of the salmon ones are in the pots with the coleus. So pretty happy that it worked out like that. Our Annabelle hydrangea, or actually this is an Incredible from Proven Winners, is looking pretty good. All of the flowers are lime green on it and have been for a long time. As we swing down here, we've got another oak leaf hydrangea. We've got our boxwoods looking good. And then there are some new plantings in here that some of them are looking better than others because I've been bad at watering, and they're underneath the eaves. These are the elfin swan anemones, and I just put them in. You can see they're all kind of falling over because I've been a bad girl and I haven't watered very well. So I'm gonna have to make sure I get out here and water better because they're underneath the eaves. I don't wanna lose them. I think I put in like 12. So they're gonna flank all the way down, and next year they'll be absolutely gorgeous. So they're like the backdrop piece all the way down the bed behind everything. So I need those to take, and I need to not be neglectful and not water them. All right, so you can see I do need to get in here and do some cutting back of the coral bell stems, which hasn't been done. We did put more of the elfin swan back here, and you can see that's what it's supposed to look like, and some of them aren't looking that great. We do have our 2 new coral bells in here that we picked up when we were on our heuchera tour at Hoffy Nursery. Love these, absolutely gorgeous. And then if we come up the porch, you can see our plantings are looking pretty good. I love this right here. This is actually 2 different bowls together that kind of look like one big blob, but I do like the way these look. I love this coleus. It's the strawberry drop. I put it in last year. I put it in this year. I really like it. I did put the double impatiens in here and some surefire white begonias and a dark jet potato vine. So I like this grouping. And then behind that, we've got a little banana tree going on. So I probably should have put him in a bigger pot. I probably will have to transplant him up to a bigger pot. As we swing around here, we've got the same Sedona bowl matched up over here. It's just doing much better. Everything is bigger, probably because it has more space to grow. So it's doing better. And then we've got our beautiful lemony lace elderberry. And just keep an eye on how good this one looks. In the spring, this has a beautiful chartreuse color. And I'm amazed that this is doing as well as it is, because it doesn't get a lot of sun. But I'm pretty happy with how it looks. It gives me that Japanese maple vibe without being a Japanese maple, which I have zero luck growing. Because I'm going to show you another one in just a minute, and you're going to go, oh my God, what happened? And I don't know. All right, here is our mini-me watermelon. Isn't that great? Love this plant in this bowl on the table. The perfect size. Just love this. I will plant this again next year. And next year they have a new one coming out that's more like a chartreuse color. So I'll try that one if I can get my hands on it. As we come up, we'll just take a quick look on the deck here. We do have some planters that are still looking pretty good. This one here is the Jazzberry from Proven Winners. Now we are going to be replanting this one and refreshing it for fall. I'm having trouble with the petunias. First the rabbits ate them. Now I think I have budworms eating them. There is some insect damage on it. You can see where the flowers are getting eaten. So I think I'm just going to end up pulling these out and doing a ring of kale or cabbage in here and leave the papyrus and just turn it into a fall planter. My calibrachoas are really struggling. They just seem pooped out. So I think I'll be pulling these down as well. And then I don't know that I'll put anything else in their place. I'll probably just do up this planter here and call it a day. Now, let's talk about the green stalk. I don't know if I would call this a success or a failure because I'm not getting strawberries. Now, I did go through, I trimmed off all of the daughters, I planted some of them up, but I have yet to pick one strawberry off of here. Now, I'm starting to get some strawberries, and we'll see how many I actually get this fall. But for me, I would call this a fail, and I would probably not do it again. I'll probably pull the strawberries out, plant them up someplace else, and then try something else in this, maybe herbs or maybe lettuce or something next year. So we do have our lettuce bed going here. This is looking really good. We're actually going to cut this and have it for dinner. And then I have some peas growing up a trellis over there. Let's do a walk through the back garden that we actually just finished doing. I think the impatiens are a nice touch down the side of the embankment. And as we come around the corner, our new hostas are doing well. And so we put the Miss Americas here, and then we have the Crassa Regals in here. Here is our bug bane, finally starting to put some flowers on. Right here, they haven't opened yet. And as you can see, I did plant up my little girl with some pansies. Our walkway's looking really nice right here. Our sedum outside of that one that's really flopped open looked pretty good. The roses are just fabulous looking. I love how they look. And I love that we put the echinacea in here. They are so pretty. The 3 rescue hydrangeas that we put in here, the Invincible Spirit 2, are doing really well. So this one over here didn't have very many leaves on it, and it's already starting to look better. And this one actually pushed off a few flowers. All right, here is what I decided to do instead of the weeping blue spruce. I ended up picking out this blue right here. I like the open airiness of it. It makes me kind of think of that boulevard, but it's got the blue that I was looking for, but not the maintenance or the work, and it doesn't get very big. I hope you can see that. This is a blue Japanese white pine, or a Pinus paraflora glauca. And I was told that it's only going to get maybe 10, maybe 12 to 15 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide. So I like the shape of that in here. I like the structure of it. Let me back out a little bit so you can kind of see how that fills into the garden. It does not compete with the obelisk, and I have not painted that yet. I just haven't gotten that done. But I love this in here. Now, the one thing that I would do differently next year, I will definitely not be planting up any tall things like the sunflowers or the zinnias or anything like that in level 2 of the terraced garden. They just I just hate those there. And I'm like, well, I'm going to leave them because they're flowering, but I don't like them at all. I will definitely not do that again next year. I just think it looks messy, so I don't like it. But I do love how this garden is looking. I love the arborvitaes that we put in here. The bobo hydrangea looks good. I love the purple of the woodgilla. Oh, I just love this. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be working on later this fall is digging out all of these garlic chives. They are going everywhere, and it was a big mistake to put them in. I'm just going to stick with the onion chives. They're a little bit easier to control. These guys just go everywhere if you don't catch them fast enough before they seed. So now I have them down here. I have them up in the herb garden. I have them over here in the hosta bed, and I keep pulling them out. So that's one of the things that I definitely will be digging out everywhere. I see them in the garden this year and probably next year too. So as we come over to the hosta garden, some of the hostas are looking a little like they're ready to go to bed. The edges are a little crisp. There's bug damage where they've been eaten. You know, it's just been a hard year for the hostas. With so much rain, it was hard to bait for the insects, so they really went to town on my hostas. And I do have some hostas that are in areas that for most of the year, they look really good. But as we get into fall, they get a little bit too much sun through the whole month of August, and then I end up with all these tips on here that look all scorched and burnt. So they only look like bad like this for the back end of the season. So I know the tree will continue to grow, and I know the tree will continue to push out limbs that are going to go further than they are to offer some more shade. But for now, I'm just putting up with the icky edges. An update on the Ajuga Catlins Giant that we put in. We've had some great growth on this. I am loving how this is filling in. Now we did do some other ground cover in the center over here where the tree roots were, where I really couldn't plant any hostas because I couldn't get them in the ground, but I tried to get little plugs of lamium in here. Yeah, that one and that one are all that are really left. So that was like a fail. That did not work. I'm gonna have to try a different ground cover in here, or I'm gonna have to put something here. I hate this big bare spot in the middle of the bed. Maybe I'll put like a low wheelbarrow or something in there and fill it with flowers. I don't know. I just know that I want more ground cover in this bed because I end up having to mulch it every year, and then I lose all the mulch to the fall cleanup. And I think it would be just so much easier if I just had ground cover. So that's one of those things that I'm going to keep working on and keep adding. All right, the next bed that we did finish and button up is right here. This is the side or the back bed here that's by the air conditioner. I did finish planting this up. I am so happy with how this looks. So I'm going to do this from a weird angle because if I stand out in the yard and look at it from a front view, you basically get this big glare off the sun. So we did end up putting a pearl gland calicarpa right back here that's going to grow, help hide the air conditioner. And in front of that, I put one of the bigger aronias. So that's going to have a nice red foliage on it in the fall, gets white flowers in the spring. And then we did the little quick fire, not quick, yeah. Are they? The little, oh my goodness, what are they? The little fire tidbits. I don't think they're quick fires. Maybe they are quick fire tidbits, but I think there's one here. I think that's what they are. And then I put another one on the other side. These were the ones that I brought over to put into the pots that failed, and I was going to try it again. And then I went, nope, not wasting two more. I'm going to put them in the ground. So I ended up putting those in the ground. We already had the Arionias here. And then we decided to use a weeping white spruce. See that sun? A weeping white spruce as our centerpiece plant. I left the tag on it so that I could read the specs to you. All right, let's check out the specs. Well, it doesn't have any specs on it. It says it grows in zone 2 through 8, and that's about it, and that it doesn't require pruning. I want to say that these are going to get anywhere from, they can be 18 to maybe 25 feet tall. They really grow in a nice columnar, skinny pattern or growth habit as they grow, which I think will look great. We did end up adding the Nepeta in here. This is the cat's pajamas, and then we already had the lady's mantle. So I like that look. Erin in the Patient Gardener has this combo planted in her garden. I loved it. So I decided to copy her and put it in my garden. As you come up the path, we do have our blue star junipers planted in here. And then we got these beautiful fall, my goodness, what are these called? Virginias. And so they'll start to get red foliage on them as we go further into fall, and I planted those on both sides of the path. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I'm glad that it's buttoned up and it's done. Our whole goal here was not to have a hodgepodge mess of stuff, and it was to really give us some winter interest in the garden. Here's my sneak peek of the hot mess. Yep, we have started to empty out the shed. And so I have piles. Yeah, that video is coming up, so stay tuned. Instead, let's look at something nice. Let's go into the cottage garden. I love the zinnias. I'm going to be picking some of these today and making a pretty centerpiece. I'm also going to pick some hydrangeas and forage around for some other things. Now, the one decision that I have made, and I made this decision after I went on one of the garden tours and the one that I went on in Inverness. Even though these are not the right size roses, I'm still afraid that the roses are going to get too fat and too thick for this trellis or this arbor. So I'm going to dig these out. They're going to get moved probably to the other side of this shed. And the climbers I'm going to save and put on the cattle panels at the entrance to the new gardens. I think that I'm just going to dig these, cut them back, dig them out, move them, and I'm going to put clematis on this. I am so afraid that this is going to be way too thick for only 4 feet on the entrance. And I really think if I'm going to do the climbing roses, I need to have an entrance of like 8 feet. That way they have room to grow, you have room to walk underneath it, and it's not going to be this crowded mess. So now I'm really glad that I procrastinated and I put that off and didn't get it done, because it really did help me decide what it is that I want to do. The other thing that I'm really glad about is over here. I am really happy that the hollyhocks did not take. Now, I don't know that I will do these tall zinnias again like this in this area. I like them on the other side. I think I want to do zinnias, but a shorter cultivar. That way you can see the layering behind it. I do like this Winding Roses Woodula in here. This is going to get probably 5 by 5. But what I love behind it are the cosmos instead of having the hollyhocks, because I love the foliage on that cosmos. And I've been cutting the flowers off of it so it doesn't have a lot of flowers on it right now. But I've been loving the texture of those two together. So I think I would do that again. And then I love the zinnias. I just think they're too tall because I'm not pinching anything. All right, as we come into the cottage garden, I love the grass that we put in here. This is the totem pole. I love it. I love the hibiscus that were in here. Some of them are still pushing blooms and they look good. I do like the fire and ice rose, the black-eyed Susans. I've liked everything about this garden since I put it in. I just have to take my time and add things to it. This year we did add the thyme, which I'm loving, and I think I'm going to add more thyme next year. And I actually think I might put some out in this area too, so that it's kind of growing through the different flagstones that we have in here. And I loved the alyssum, and I will plant the alyssum again, so you've got the blend of that with the thyme. I loved everything in this garden. Just absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, the hibiscus still have a few blooms on them. I just like this garden. And then let's take a look going the other way. And this is just a backed up look going the other way. I think it looks lush. I think it looks full. I don't think it looks messy. I don't know if the camera does it justice. I think it looks better probably in person than it does looking at it through the camera lens. And I had somebody come through and tour the garden, and they were like, it looks so different when you see it in person. So hopefully you kind of get a feel for what it is that I've done. One of the things that we put in the garden was this TP trellis that I was going to try and grow pole beans up. And the biggest problem that I had with the pole beans was it was hard to get them going. So there are some beans on here, and these are the beans that you would shell so they dry on here when the plant is done, and then you pick them all. The problem is I had so many rabbits this year, they kept eating it down, and it took me a long time to get it going. So I will try it again next year because I do like the whole idea of having that in here. I don't know, we'll see. I probably will try one more time. Just because it's the beginning of Labor Day and we start thinking fall doesn't mean that there's not time left for planting, because there is. So one of the things I did was I did cut my edge out for this bed here. We are going to be laying cardboard and compost, and I don't know if I'm going to plant it, but I'm going to get it prepped and ready to go for spring. And I want to do this bed, either I get it done this year or I do it first thing next year. So my big focus right now is just finishing up anything that's not done, tidying things up. Because the other thing that I really want to get done this year, which for me is a priority, is even though there's a hot mess pile right here, I want to get the wall in. So I want to get the wall in, the path solidified, and then I can always plant up both areas next year. I can work on the she shed all winter long. So, and I probably will. It's going slower than I thought, mostly because there's so much junk in here that I know you guys are like, maybe there's treasures in there. There's no treasures in there, just a bunch of junk. It's taking me a while to empty it because my dumpster is only so big, and I can't totally fill it every week without being able to use it for other things too. So yeah, it's taking me a little bit longer than I thought to get it emptied out. This view right here is one of my favorites. I absolutely love these cleomes in here with my limelight hydrangea and the quickfire hydrangeas. I just love this. I love the black-eyed Susans in here that are peeking through. They're ready to be cut back. I just haven't done it yet. I will. I'll get to it. Maybe later today. It's an absolutely gorgeous weekend out. No humidity. Temperatures in the upper 70s, lower 80s. Absolutely great time to be out in the garden. But I actually want to get some canning done and some freezing and some vinegars infused, and I've got a lot of harvesting to do, and so I'm probably going to spend my weekend doing that instead. But I love this view, minus the ladder. All right, for those of you that are new here, we do have new gardens that we'll be planning going out this way. And when I talk about the tunnel and moving the roses, this is where they would be moved to. So I want to create a tunnel with cattle panels going between the two Chinese lilac trees, and then If I make those 8 feet wide, then I could grow the climbing roses right up the beginning and then do other things through the tunnel. And then eventually I want to have a cut flower garden and my raised garden beds out here, maybe create a secret garden, lots of things. It won't all happen in 1 year, but I have a full acre over here to develop, and I want to develop it into something really cool. So I want to think about it this winter. What am I doing? As I'm going on different garden tours, oh my gosh, I'm seeing so many things. I can barely make up my mind what I want to do now, because I just see things and I'm like, oh, I want that, and I want that, and I want that. Oh, I know. It's hard when you go and get inspired everywhere you go. All right, our porch is looking good here, so I just have houseplants up here. And as you can see, I have piles of product. This is all that I've been going to different shabby chic places, and I have been collecting things for the she shed. So I've been piling them up in here. All right, the last garden to take a look at is the one that we've renovated from last year. Here's 2 more pots that we refreshed. And so in this garden here, I'm really liking this garden. Now, one thing that I've decided I don't like is the bird bath. I'm just not paying attention to it, and I hate that it's got dirty water in it. In fact, it's got dirty water in it right now. I mean, I hate that. And then it's not being used by the birds, because who'd want to get in that? I wouldn't. So I think I'm going to take it back and get a statue instead. I'm just not loving it. But what I did find that I loved was that pink angelonia. I loved that plant, and next year I'm going to intermingle that and plant that in between this veronica. I loved it. Then it'll allow me to kind of see what else I want to add to this bed to kind of finish it off, because sometimes I think you need things to grow a little bit before you decide to slap some more things in the ground. I think that this could use a little more height in some places, and so I'll work on that and what I want that to be next year. I will leave this area the way I've got it, though. I love the ability to plant these annuals along the edge. I will do that again next year. I absolutely loved the verbena. It was fabulous. Now, the petunias, they were okay. They got eaten a little bit by the rabbits. I'm amazed that this gomphrena is still here, because everywhere else I had gomphrena, they ate it. And the one big disappointment was the osteospermum. This is the best they've looked all year. And even now, they aren't, you know, they're still sparse and sporadic and not all that. It was supposed to be this spectacular field of daisy looking flowers, and it's just, it's okay. So I won't do those again. Not in love with that. But I loved this part here, being able to plant this up. And see, look at that verbena in there. Doesn't that look cool? Planted up with the sedum. I just love that. See, and then there's a lower ground cover sedum right behind it. And it all kind of blends together and just looks so pretty. And then even when you come around this way and you look at it, see, isn't that nice? I just like that. Like my little fish. I like my little fish. But I want to leave this way every single year and not have to plant anything and be able to change out what I'm doing. Now, the one thing I am having to do this year is right here. I try to get them when they're little, and I come out every 3 or 4 days and I look for it. This is milkweed, and it grows on an underground rhizome, and it was everywhere in my garden, taken over. And I'll probably spend the next 3 years pulling it out. But if I get it when it's little, it doesn't get out of control, and hopefully by pulling it, I will eventually eradicate the whole thing out and not have to deal with it later. All right, so there you go. There's that garden, and I'm loving this garden. I hated this garden last year, and I love it so much more this year. So there you go, one unedited tour of the garden, and I'm really happy with the progress that I've made this year, and I'm not even done. There's 2 months left to plant, for sure. But today, I want to get my fall decor out outside. I want to get my harvesting done. I want to infuse some oils and some butters, and that leaf is attacking me. So let's move it over here. I just have 2 days off, and that's like, whew, what to do with yourself in 2 days. I could spend the whole thing in the garden, but I have so many other things that I want to get done. I hope you enjoyed our garden tour. Don't forget, Garden Gab is coming up next Saturday, the first Saturday of the month and the third Saturday of the month. So we are not taking any more submissions for August, because obviously we are in September. So we are looking for pictures from something beautiful in your garden during the month of September. Make sure you send it in a landscape format, which means that you hold your camera the long ways, not straight up and down. Straight up and down is really hard to use and fit it into the format that YouTube uses. send it to the email address right here, right here, and I will use those pictures doing Garden Gab. But I need to know, stop that. Okay, I need to know who you are, where you live, what we're looking at, and what zone it is. So send those in and we will use those during Garden Gab. So I hope you enjoyed our tour. I hope you have enjoyed our tour. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next video. I hope you guys get in your garden today. It deserves some TLC, and so do you. So don't forget yourself. I'm Michelle. We'll see you later. Bye, everybody. Signing off. Yeah.